Good afternoon, happy Monday. Okay, so I'm waiting for my live to pop up on my newsfeed so I can share it. So please take the time to share this as well. This will be great information for you and for your friends. If you see that little red tag, that means that you are live with me right now. If you don't see the tag, that means you're on replay. So just hit hashtag replay and let me know that you took a watch to the video. I don't know why my Facebook, it's not updating as quickly as I would like it to. Anyway, so happy Monday, welcome. I hope you had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful weekend. I hope that you have your intentions and your purpose and everything like in alignment, and that you are excited and ready and feeling wonderful about the upcoming week. So just one moment while I share this. So I'm going to share to my page, which I'm trying to grow. That's not the easiest to do, but I have a wonderful Facebook guy that's helping me with all this stuff. So we're kind of in the works and of, you know, getting some things off the ground in transition, as they would say. And so, yeah. Okay, so I am here to share some really exciting things with you. If you were or are a client of mine, this will be very familiar to you because we focus in a lot on this information. However, it doesn't hurt, just like I'll always say, 70 times 7,000. And you know what I'm going to start doing? I'm going to start tying my hands behind my back because I start noticing that I do this all the time. My best friend said, Kelly, you got to watch that because people are going to start focusing in on your hands and not what you have to say. And she's totally right. So let's chat. All right. So let me first start by not tipping over. I just swiped the comments over because you guys know that I will get distracted. So I don't look at the comments. I try to stay very focused. And I'm so thankful that they do have this function so that I don't get sidetracked. So you're probably like, let's just get started. Okay, so let me just give you, I'm going to have to hold on to this. Okay, this is actually working. This will be great because then I won't use my hands as much. So I have to hold on to this thing. Normally I'd have it sitting on up against my laptop, but that wasn't working all that well, and I have this little phone holder and it's not wanting to stand up. So anyway, on with the show. So I want to talk to you about neurotransmitters. If you have been following me for a while, or maybe you are newly following me, I am so happy to share all this information with you because for so long and for so many years I believed certain things, and I think that the whole world believes things that, how do you want to explain this? We want to believe what's easy, okay? And we want things to be simple, and we don't, oftentimes we just want, I hear people say all the time, I just want somebody to tell me what to eat, or I just wish I could take a pill and that would fix everything, and it's not. Nothing in life is that easy. So when it comes to your weight loss goals and things, there is a component that I use in my coaching that I feel has to be, it's a huge, huge component. It's a huge piece to their success, huge. And it has to do with the neurotransmitters. So when somebody coaches with me, it's not all about their nutrition and all that. It's about the way that they're leading their lifestyle, and a huge part is also the neurotransmitters. And I'm going to break each one down for you, and then you will find a relation in each neurotransmitter. Now, each of us we all have a domineering one that we are our nature, okay, that we are more dominant in, but you will see yourself in each one of these. Okay, so again, share this because this is going to be of some value. This could be a life-changing nugget, a good pearl of information for somebody today. And this could actually say, oh my gosh. And just like I offer this all the time, and I wish more of you would take advantage of this, but I am willing to talk to you, willing to have a chat and maybe give you some information that you could say, okay, I need to go in this direction, or oh gosh, you just actually kind of validated what I was thinking, and now I have so much relief. Or I could share something with you that you may not even have any awareness of, like, holy crap. Like, here's one for you. If you have a thyroid issue, please do not eat any grains, dairy, or soy, if I could talk. Okay? And the reason I say that is because it will help you a lot. You will feel better. And it won't interfere with things. Okay, your gut has a lot to do with all kinds of stuff. Okay, the thyroid governs a lot. The gut governs a lot. Okay, and so if you have a thyroid issue, I'm going to say this one more time, and this is just a separate nugget of information. Don't eat grains, gluten, soy, dairy. Okay, if you have further questions on that, just comment, and we could always have a separate phone call. Okay, so let's talk about neurotransmitters. Finally! Okay, so there are, and of course I have tons of notes, okay? There are 4 neurotransmitters that I focus on, okay? Dopamine, acetylcholine, GABA, and serotonin. 2 of them probably sound familiar to you, dopamine and serotonin. Most people are like, what is acetylcholine? And what is GABA? Well, I will tell you, they are all very, very, very important, okay? I'll break down each one first, and then we'll talk about, you know, how they might be affecting you. Now, again, these neurotransmitters could be affecting your rest, ultimately your mood, cravings, your happiness, all of that, okay? And when we have certain deficiencies, we might tend to lean towards eating certain foods, okay? So let's talk about the dopamine. All right. So generally, you know, when you have, let's talk about dopamine nature. And a dopamine-natured person, the way that I describe a dopamine-natured person would be somebody that is very strong-willed, determined. They're a natural leader. They know exactly what they want, and they know how to get it. Okay, it's a very small percentage of the world. This is a person that is determined. They are, and this is when they're not deficient. They're very highly motivated. You know, generally people that are dopamine dominant people, they are people that you see get up early in the morning, business owners, entrepreneurs, high top executives, you know, like higher level people, okay? And they are generally the people that most people look up to and aspire to be, okay? So that's the dopamine-natured type of person. Now let's talk about why are neurotransmitters, you know, why are they big players in the weight management? We're going to talk about that too. So they're all important, just like I said, but these are the big 4, okay? All right, so we're talking about dopamine. So dopamine, the pleasure hormone. So I'm going to read a little bit of stuff here for you. So in terms of weight loss, dopamine is the most important of the 4. Huge, huge, okay? So when I talk to people on the phone, generally, you know, they'll say, well, I'm feeling tired, or I'm feeling unmotivated, ding, ding, ding. Oftentimes they'll say, okay, well, there's probably a good chance that they have a dopamine deficiency. Okay, but the dopamine is unique in that the thing of it is that it is also an amino acid derived receptor. And so if you've heard me talk about branched chain amino acids, this is one of the reasons why I will drink amino acids all day long. Okay, because it's having a positive effect on my receptors, which should be like my GABA, dopamine. Okay, those are like the 2 huge ones, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so here's the thing, is that dopamine is derived from the amino acid tyrosine, okay, and is released during gratifying activities. Now, remember when I had talked to you the other day about the fact that sometimes people find themselves in these repetitive loops, you know, that slippery slope. I'm here and then I'm here. And then they get excited up here because they're starting something new. And that is like, that right there is triggering their dopamine. Hold on. Blake, is the baby crying? Fingers crossed that she's not. Okay, so that's why I say, you know, that in itself can be a habit and also something that is addictive because of that feel good. Oh, I'm starting something new. I'm so excited. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, is released during gratified activities such as food consumption, okay, because sometimes we eat certain foods that give us that, ooh, right? Sex, exercise. So those of us like me, you know, love that that kind of a high. You know, people talk about the runner's high. Well, we're talking about the dopamine here, okay? And drugs, of course, you know, there's those things that kind of will tap into those receptors. So that's why people get addicted to certain things, right? So the bottom line is that dopamine is, it plays a role in your pleasure, reward center, your mood, and attention, okay? So, and what I mean by that is, oh, you think I'm pretty? Oh, tell me more. You know, that's tapping into those dopamine. Oh, I feel great about myself. You know what I'm saying? So the dopamine is really interesting, okay? So the thing is that those that are low in dopamine, okay, generally are like, oh, I was motivated once and it walked out the door, and where did it go? I don't know what happened. What the hell is going on with me? I don't feel like myself. Where did my motivated self go? What happened? I can't find it. And then what ends up, they start eating, okay? Eat. So those low in dopamine often use foods and stimulants, okay, like caffeine and stuff like that, to get them through the day. If this sounds like you, raise your hand. The problem is that most of the foods and stimulants that you crave are things like chocolate, candy, soda, energy drinks, all that stuff. So then what does it do? It leads into an unhealthy habit. Remember the habit loop that we can get into. So think about this. Let's really think about this. So dopamine deficiency can lead to you reaching for certain things to up those dopamine levels. Then what does it do? Then what happens? You're reaching towards things that are trying to up the levels that generally aren't healthy. So then you're creating a whole habit which will tend to lead to things like the weight gain and obesity and insulin resistance and all that shit, right? Yuck. Okay, makes sense, I hope. All right. So here's the thing. So make sure I'm not missing something. Without the right amount of dopamine, you're never physically and emotionally fulfilled by food, no matter how much you've eaten, so you just keep eating and eating and eating. This also, I remember doing a live years ago, probably on Periscope. That's how long ago it was, probably 3 or 4, maybe 3 years ago, about sharing my story about when I was down and dark and, you know, charging up shit on my charge cards and, you know, just to try and fill a hole within myself, which that every time I would shop online, what would happen? It would give me that ding, 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 ding. These dopamine receptors were happy because I felt like I was fulfilling something when I really needed fulfillment of my own self-love and personal development and work. So I talked about in that live, which I wonder if it's got to be somewhere, because Periscope records all those. I should dig in my YouTube and see if I can find it. But I talk about how you're not going to find it from the UPS truck. You're not going to find it at the mall. You're not going to find it in food. You know what I mean? So this all has to do with your dopamine and getting excited, okay? So if you find yourself doing an immense amount of shopping, if you're finding yourself addicted to stuff like sex, yes, I said it because it can, you know, you see what I'm saying? You get that, oh, you want me? Oh, you know what I'm saying? So if you find yourself addicted like shopping, sex, alcohol, you know, that kind of stuff, you are looking for that dopamine lift, okay? Like I said, message me. We can always talk about this. Okay, so while not enough dopamine can also make you feel very fatigued, bluesy, sluggish, tired, craving food and craving that stimulation, too much can cause those addictive behaviors. What did I just talk about? I just said it before I read it, okay? I forgot that I had that written down there. So anyway, do you see what I'm saying? So we become addicted to chasing the dopamine high. And it doesn't have to be a drug. Like people think, oh, an addiction, that means drugs. No, like I said, an addiction can be shopping. It can be to sex. It can be to all those things. Exercise. Do you know how many times, like I used to be addicted. You guys, I'm telling you, I should write a book on my whole, every time I go live, to talk to you about my former fucked up self. Let me tell you. So let's talk about that. So let's talk about how I was in my early 20s and I was just a mess up here and I didn't know like what to do, or, you know, before I started my personal development journey. And I used to exercise 3 times a day. 3. What? What the? I think about that. I'm like, oh my God, for the love. You know how sometimes when I say I'm lucky I'm still alive? You've probably heard me say that on lives. And it's not because I was working out 3 times a day. It's because I was addicted to other behaviors. And it wasn't drugs or anything like that. But just, you know, alcohol and leading a life that was really, really just, I don't even recognize that person now, you know? So anyway, worked out 5 in the morning, at lunchtime, and at night. Now, if I was not chasing a dopamine high, come on, okay? So when I talk to you about being dark, that's some of my behaviors that, you know, I would try to control in my life, and behaviors that I would, you know, try to uplift in other ways. So I couldn't control other things in my life, but I could control how much I was exercising. I could control how much I was eating. And that was like basically when I would do my binging and purging. You know what I mean? So around that time was when I would engage in all that stuff. So I should probably really write a book. Or maybe I should just do a whole live on those dark days. Woo! I'm telling you. Okay, so enough about that, but that just gives you an example. I'm just sharing an example of my former self. I mean, we're talking, this is 20 years ago. See, I'm 40, I'll be 46, so probably 25 years ago. So it's been a good chunk of time. So, you know, but let's just say, you know, I was in it. Okay. So the goal for weight loss is to have a dopamine signaling system that regulates, okay, and balances your body with sustained energy and motivation. And so you've heard me talk about keeping your hunger, energy, and cravings in check. And this is the basis and foundation of my coaching program, is I help you with balancing all this shit out. It's not eat this and eat that and exercise this way and don't exercise that way. That formula doesn't work, in case you haven't figured that out yet. Okay? It's more about your hormones, your receptors, your neurotransmitters, and the eating. Yes, it's a huge part of it. But it's just one piece of the puzzle. One of many. One of many. Like I tell my clients sometimes, you know, it's like, you know, the statement, it takes a village. It's kind of the same thing, where it takes many pieces to work together in order to get the whole thing working like a well-oiled machine for the rest of your life. And you won't have to be on and off, in and out, perfect or not, out of control or not anymore. Like that won't even be that would be like, you'll be talking about yourself like I'm talking about my past self. You'll be like, I can't believe I used to do that. Like, what the hell was I thinking, right? Okay, so here's the thing. Besides the many pleasures that dopamine brings, healthy levels of dopamine naturally suppress appetites, and aid in weight loss. So you always hear me talk about, we need to live our life in a way where weight loss is a byproduct of all of the positive changes that we are making in our lifestyle. The way that we think, our sleeping habits, the way that we're managing our stress, all of that stuff. It all matters. It all matters, okay? All right. So again, on those things, we want to eliminate eating things like, you know, sugar and alcohol and all that stuff. So let's talk about acetylcholine. That's next on the list. So an acetylcholine-natured person is somebody that's very in tune and very aware of their senses, and oftentimes don't even know how adept that they are with their senses, and that they are seeing the world through a different pair of glasses, you know. They're very, to me, I think they're very fortunate individuals, because they're just the person that they have a good awareness of a judge of character, you know, like they're a really good judge of character, you know. So acetylcholine natured people, they're very giving, they're very, you know, just very in tuned. But here's the thing, when acetylcholine has a lot to do with the interaction between what is happening in your world and what is going on in here. So let's say, for example, you are watching this live or replay, and you're hearing me say something, and then you go to write it down, and then you're like, wait, shit, what did she just say? And then you rewind it, and you go to listen to it again, and then you go to write it down, you're like, wait, shit, what did she just say again? God dang it. So basically, if you are feeling foggy, if you're having major memory issues, then you probably have an acetylcholine deficiency. So another way to describe it that I share with my clients is this, is that when you have an acetylcholine deficiency, it's kind of like when I go to download a file on my computer. You like that trick? I just turned my computer on so it'd have more light. When you go to download a file on your computer and it starts and you're like, yes, it's downloading. Then all of a sudden it says, sorry, not enough memory, boom. So it spits it back out. So it's the same sort of thing that I want you to think of in that regard, that you're trying to input this information in your brain, but you just can't connect it, okay? So I hope that makes sense. So let's talk a little bit more about acetylcholine, the memory hormone, as I like to call it, okay? So like dopamine, acetylcholine is one of the brain's on, okay? It's like an on switch, right? So a healthy, high acetylcholine brain is fast moving and quick thinking. There is nothing that makes me crazier if I cannot think quickly. I have to be able to think quickly. And so I have to be very on top of this, meaning that if I can't think quickly and help others when they have questions, then that's a problem, right? So I have to make sure that I can think quickly and be really fast, okay? While dopamine brain is all about seeking reward, okay, acetylcholine is your key to the awareness. Remember I said awareness, very in tuned, very like see the world through a different pair of glasses. Without it, you wouldn't be able to remember the last time you ate, okay? So if not, you would eat again and again and again and again and again. So again, the symptoms of acetylcholine are typical of like, oh my God, I must be getting old moments. Struggling to remember, you can't focus, find the right words to say. Okay, sometimes I ask myself that question. Like I remember even saying to Dr. Don one time, I'm like, I just feel like I have an acetylcholine deficiency. And he completely knew what I was talking about because that's like the language that we speak. And so, you know, when I feel in that way, that's like something I need to get on top of, obviously. Okay, so just as you may reach for sugar and caffeine for that burst of energy to compensate for the dopamine, you might reach for fatty foods, people, okay? Fatty foods. Are you hearing me? Are your ears open? Okay, so because you think it's your way to thinking better. Isn't that fascinating? Don't you just find this shit fascinating? I mean, this is just the most fascinating stuff on earth. I swear, I just love learning more and more about the body and the brain and all that good stuff. So an acetylcholine deficiency can make you crave foods high in fat, like those found in greasy fast foods, fried foods, hamburgers, pizza, desserts, all that garbage stuff, okay? So that's because, I'm going to tell you why. That's because the main source of choline, okay, acetylcholine, okay, so the main source of choline, the building block of this brain chemical, okay, is fat. So when you eat foods high in fat, they deliver an instant acetylcholine boost. Did you hear that? Isn't that fascinating? Now you know why I use this as one of my major pieces in my coaching program. Huge, 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 and huge, okay? So if I'm not addressing this, this is never going to be fixed. It has to be addressed, okay? So the exercise more, eat less formula, it's don't follow it, okay? Just please don't follow it anymore. It doesn't work. All right, so let's talk about, let's see what I talk about. Oh, we're gonna leave GABA for last. What, Colin? You gotta wait till I'm done. Okay, I need a drink of my branched chain amino acids and my reds. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about serotonin. We all are familiar with serotonin. Okay, happiness hormone is what I would like to call it. Okay, serotonin gets the most attention. Just everybody knows it. Everybody is aware of it. They hear the word, oh, serotonin, you know, da-da-da, happy or not, that kind of thing. It's derived from the amino acid, intent, tryptophan, and belongs to the inhibitory group of the relaxing neurotransmitters. Okay, so if you've ever, here's another nugget for you. You ready? Here's another pearl. If you have a hard time relaxing at nighttime, one of the best things that you can do is get some cacao powder, okay, which is the natural form of chocolate, and mix it with some unsweetened warm almond milk. And that will calm you down. It's very relaxing. So that will help with your serotonin, which will help you to sleep better. Okay? So let's talk about the serotonin-natured person first. So of course, I'm happy in the world that I'm in. I love myself. I love my surroundings. Everything's happy. My glass is half full, blah, blah, blah. But they tend to be very kind of impulsive people, which, whatever, you know. But, you know, serotonin-natured people, they constantly need to be, you know, involved and a part of the game and, you know, all that stuff. And so they're generally people that you want to find yourself being around. You know, like, I just want to be around them. They just make me happy, you know, like that's the kind of person, okay? So let's go back to this. So of all of the neurotransmitters, serotonin gets the most attention because it's talked about a lot, but nobody calls it a neurotransmitter. They're just like, oh, my serotonin levels must be off. Also, if your gut is messed up, it will also affect your serotonin levels too. Just an FYI on that. It's derived from the amino acid tryptophan and belongs to the inhibitory group of relaxing neurotransmitters. Serotonin provides a sense of well-being and happiness. Remember that, oh, I feel so great. I love the world that I'm in. You know, there's none of that stinking thinking. If you wake up in the morning excited to take on new challenges, which you should, your serotonin levels are most likely in a healthy range. If not, on the other hand, you experience depression, insomnia, and low self-esteem, you might want to give your serotonin a boost, okay? So what did we talk about? So serotonin levels affect your sleep, your sight, and your cravings, okay? So you want to make sure that if you're feeling any of these types of things, okay, that you like start really thinking about this, looking into this. You can, like I said, you can schedule an evaluation with me. It's free. We chat, give you some information. We talk, okay? Serotonin is a natural appetite suppressant, and its deficiency is closely related to weight gain. Let's repeat that. Serotonin is a natural appetite suppressant, and its deficiency is closely related to weight gain. Low serotonin levels cause carbohydrate cravings. What did I just say? Because tryptophan, the building block of serotonin, can only get into the brain after sweet or starchy foods are consumed. Isn't that crazy? Are you finding this fascinating? I just find, what, Colin? No, I cannot. I'm live. He wants me to go to the door and hold the dog back while he takes another one for a walk. Like, it's not gonna happen. Okay, so we've talked about dopamine, we've talked about acetylcholine, we've talked about serotonin, and now we're gonna talk about GABA. I hope that this is informative to you. All right, so let's talk about GABA. GABA, it excites me because I have seen major changes in people that have had GABA deficiencies, you know, go from like a major deficiency to being very, very, very low, okay? So let's talk about the GABA-natured person. A GABA-natured person is somebody that I would call, and this is, I don't mean this in a negative way, but like your steady Eddie. Just somebody that feels very comforted by a rigid schedule, same every day. They feel comfortable with the rigid schedule because they do not like uncertainty. They like to be able to predict what's going to happen, what's coming next, all that. Okay, they don't like, they cannot have any of the up and down. So I always joke around and say, you know, my husband could never do what I do because when you're in a position of, you know, your income can be different every single month, right? You know, and so I always say that somebody that has a GABA is a GABA-natured person, they would never do well in like a sales job. They would never also do well in a high-risk stock market, you know? So Save Sally and Steady Eddie, okay? So it's funny because those using Save Sally and Steady Eddie, when I was actually taking my course to become certified for financial stuff this past year, that helped me a lot. Oh, that's what Safe Sally would want, and that's what Steady Eddie would want. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of interesting when I'm able to connect that person to certain things, because it's like a trait. We all have these certain traits, or like I'll say like, oh yeah, they're very acetylcholine natured. You know, it's kind of interesting how I'm able to, you know, connect that to people now. It's kind of fun. Okay, so let's talk about GABA. I call it the calming hormone, okay, because what it does is it makes you feel very steady, stable. There's none of this, woo, you know what I mean? So GABA, okay, it functions as your brain's calming agent, okay, so it's really an important neurotransmitter, because, let me find the one sheet where I have, because it controls, let me get the wording. Uh-oh, do I have an acetylcholine deficiency? Let me find it, because it's important. Okay, dopamine, okay. So it is, and let me just add, this is a very interesting fact about GABA too. It's 50% of the world. 50% of the world shares this nature. Their hallmarks are consistency and concern for others, okay? If you're a GABA-natured, you're definitely the person that shows up for work every day. You know, when you're in balance, you remain calm in swirling chaos. Okay, that's my husband totally to a T. It could be freaking chaos, and he pretty much remains calm. Staying organized, super important, you know, all of that. So that's part of the nature, but let me go into, oh, I know what I was looking for. Hold on. Sorry about this. Okay, here it is. So it's the idling frequency of the neurons. GABA is the major inhibitory neurotransmitter of the brain, which keeps all of the other biochemicals in check. GABA controls the brain's rhythm so you can function mentally and physically at a steady pace. When your rhythm is thrown off by GABA deficiency, you may begin to feel anxious, nervous, and out of control. And we don't want that. Okay, does that make sense? I hope. Okay, so let's move on here. So, GABA. Still talking about GABA. All right, I want to make sure I have the right page here. Okay, so along with serotonin, it creates a sense of calm and order. So you get my drift when I'm talking about GABA. It's about stability, structure, schedule, order. If there's no order, there's no structure, there's none of that, the person just feels like, I don't know if I'm coming or going. Oh, you know what I mean? And they just feel so out of sorts. And oftentimes I will know too if somebody has a GABA deficiency. And again, there's a quiz that I have my clients take. So this is how I get to know. But I can see the traits in some people. Oftentimes they're just very like, oh, you know, and then they might get emotional and start to cry, you know, because they just feel like, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me, and I feel like I'm losing it. And you know, oftentimes again, it's because of these neurotransmitters, okay? Okay, so in other words, GABA I like to call like, it'll help your brain be very zen, okay? All right. So all optimal levels of GABA leads to reduction in stress, anxiety, nervousness, and improvement in sleep, okay? Now, you've heard me talk about sleep before. It's a huge keystone. If you're not sleeping well, then guess what? You're going to wake up and you're going to crave cake. You're going to feel all out of sorts, you know what I mean? So when your sleep is in order and in alignment, all kinds of great things happen. You have a better attitude, you know, better mood. You feel more awake. You are more productive, you know. So it's a keystone is something that you do one thing and then it affects many. Okay. All right. So here's the thing. Typical symptoms of low GABA are being easily stressed out, overstimulated, and overwhelmed, just like I described. So in order to lose weight, you have to have a calm, stable, brain chemistry. Okay, isn't this interesting? Now you're thinking, holy crap, right? Yeah. Seriously, this is so important, okay? So you have to have all of these things in check, you know? So GABA can aid in sleep, improve mood, prevents psychological causing of overeating, okay? AKA emotional eating. So those with GABA deficiency tend to eat way too much and way too fast to counteract the stress and anxiety in their life. So in other words, they're using the food to soothe their mind. So when we hear people say, yeah, I was emotionally eating, well, there you go. So there you go. There are the 4 major neurotransmitters. Those are the ones that are extremely important, need to be addressed, and absolutely nurtured, because if not, it's going to affect you, your well-being, ultimately your weight loss. So this is why I wanted to go on live and share this information with you, because it's a huge component that oftentimes is not being addressed. A lot of times there's things out there, here, do this for 21 days. Here, exercise for, what's out there? I don't even know. There's all these different things, and it just makes my head spin, right? So, yeah, it's pretty crazy. If you have any questions, comment. If you haven't opted in for my carb sensitivity quiz, make sure you do that. If you are a client of mine, you already have this information. So if you go to Kelly D Carb Quiz, kellydcarbquiz.com, you can take the carb quiz, and that'll help you kind of get an idea of what you're doing and how sensitive you are to carbohydrates. And I give you a protocol and some really good information. It's part of my secret sauce. I also just released my scholarship opportunity again today. That will be going through now through July 31st. I will be accepting applications. So if you're interested in that, just go to kellydscholarship.com. I keep, like, I gotta think for a second because I have all these different domain names and sometimes I'll mix them up. So www.kellydcarbquiz and then www.kellydScholarship. I'll put the links in the comments here too. But I hope you found this very informative. Please make sure that you message me or comment, or let me know what you got out of it. The more feedback I get, then the more that I know that I'm headed in the right direction. Just like I went live and talked about starting over the other day, I got a ton of messages of people saying, holy crap, I felt like you were talking directly to me. Probably because I was. So, all right, I hope that was informative. And again, let me know, and please share. Please share this if you got value, because if you got value, chances are there are some friends of yours that will get value out of it too. Once again, thank you for tuning in, and I appreciate all your support. Take care.